So, greetings to our esteemed lecturer, Miss Florence Binti Ajadab. I, Ahmad Daniel bin Osman, would like to present my research proposal for action research. So, the title of my research is called The Effectiveness of Guided Reading Strategy in Improving Primary 4 Pupils' Reading Comprehension in an ESL Classroom. So, without further ado, let's start with the introduction. So, comprehension of reading is a crucial aspect of the ESL learners, and this is particularly in primary 4, in which the students are facing more and more academic tasks. However, a lot of students can hardly go beyond simple comprehension, and this will restrict their understanding of text. So in this study, the researcher will explore the effectiveness of guided reading strategy. So what is guided reading strategy? Guided reading strategy is a teacher-directed small group strategy that seeks to enhance reading comprehension. So the students will be grouped according to their own respective level, around 4 to 6 students in a group. For example, the strongest students will be grouped with the other stronger students. Meanwhile, the weaker students will also be grouped with the other weaker students. And then, the teacher will approach these groups according to their needs. For example, the stronger students will receive little to no guidance because these students already understand and they already know how to read the text independently. Meanwhile, the weaker students needs more guidance from the teacher, even to comprehend a simple text. The target for this research is Year 4 ESL students, and the research will take place around 4 weeks for the duration. Now, let's talk about the proposed action research methodology. For the first aspect, which is participant and setting. So, this action research will take place in a primary 4 ESL classroom, specifically 4 Cekal in SK Kampung Pertanian, which has a total sum of 36 students. It will focus on enhancing reading comprehension using the guided reading strategy. And the participants will include 2 senior teachers, possible 2 senior teachers who will be interviewed to provide information on their experiences and perspective about the guided reading approach in the classroom. And the research will be conducted within 4 weeks, which has 2 or 3 periods for each week, meaning there's around 90 minutes in total for each week. And as for the action plan or the intervention, the strategy will be implemented according to 3 stages. So the first stages is pre-intervention, which will be held during week 1. This around for week 1, baseline data collection will be collected to test students' level of comprehension through a series of reading comprehension activities. And then during week 2 to week 3, Students will be grouped in terms of their reading skills. As I've said before, they will be grouped according to their own respective level. And this is where the intervention will take place. So the guided reading sessions will involve 3 phases. The phases are pre-reading, during reading, and post-reading, which involve vocabulary teaching, comprehension questioning, and followed by discussion after, which the teacher will scaffold the reading process so that there will be strong engagement and active support. And the last stage will be post-intervention, which will be held in week 4. During this week, the data will be collected through the analysis of sample of students' work, where, so the sample of students' work will be evaluated, and this is how the researcher will know whether the students have improved or not. For the data collection methods, there are 2 methods in total. The first one is senior teacher interviews. So there will be 2 possible senior teachers who will be interviewed to collect information about their perspective regarding guided reading and how it may affect students' learning. The interviews will be based on their experience, their expectations, as well as any challenges that they might have faced in the past when they implement the guided reading strategy. The second method is students' work sample analysis. So students' work will be evaluated prior, meaning before, and after the intervention. So the analysis will deliver a qualitative information about students' progress. As for the proposed timeline or for this research, the research will span for 4 weeks with 2 to 3 periods for each week. For the first week, it will be the baseline data collection, where the researcher will measure students' level of comprehension. And for the second and third week, that's where the intervention, the guided reading strategy implementation will take place, where the researcher will use guided reading strategy for their session with 4 Cakal students. And then for the last week, which is week 4, it will be the week for reflection and data collection. The researcher will analyze students' progress during this week through the sample of students' work. So moving on to the ethical considerations of this research, there are 4 aspects that needs to be considered in this research. The first one is confidentiality. Confidentiality is very important aspect of the ethical behavior of the researcher. All data regarding the participants, including their names, will be anonymized. The anonymity of students will be secured using pseudonyms in the data reports. The information such as work samples and recording of the interview will be stored safely, and only the researcher can access that video and that sample. The second one is informed consent. All the parties involved in this research will be informed about the study, and consent, of course, will be taken. The researcher will have to get the consent of the school administration to carry out the research, and the consent of the teacher for year 4 students. The researcher will have to explain the purpose of the study, the procedures, as well as the risks and benefits. And the third consideration is voluntary participation. So there will be no consequences for the participants to drop out for this research. Participants will be able to drop out freely during any stages without any consequences. And then the last consideration will be minimizing harm. This intervention, this guided reading strategy, will be conducted in a way that will not disturb the normal learning of students. The researcher will also concern with the academic and emotional health of the students, so that students may not be pressured or produce excessive stress that will disrupt the learning process of students. In conclusion, guided reading will help students to understand the text better, not just the surface level of comprehension, but students can also make inference and evaluation based on the text materials. Students will also become more independent in their reading, and they will develop necessary comprehension strategies. And as for the anticipated outcomes of this research, the implementation of guided reading strategy will cause a significant increase in students' reading comprehension. Students will also likely to gain more engagement and motivation in the process of learning. And then the last one, this research hopes to provide practical suggestions to teachers so that they can apply guided reading in their classroom and improve literacy achievement among ESL learners, especially in primary 4. Will be the end of my research proposal presentation. I hope this video provides a valuable insights so that our lecturer, Miss Florence, can understand what I'm researching about and how I will implement my strategy in the classroom. Thank you very much for listening.